scriptures. Acquitted. What do you mean acquitted? What does that mean? When we preach the Besorah to the poor, they are set free through your actions and through the message. Both. Matthew 19:21. If you will be perfect, Yahshua said to the rich young ruler, here's what you do. On the way home, buy a box of matzahs and a can of gefilte fish. And I'll show you how to make kugel so you could be more Jewish than the Jews. No. You're already a believer in Yahweh, but if you want to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the needy and the hurting. And then you'll be perfect. When Yeshua said in the Sermon on the Mount, be ye perfect, you know what he was saying? And what does the world say? What does religion say? Can't be, no one's perfect. Yahshua said, here's how you get perfect. First you love me and believe in me, and then you give to the hurting, and you're proactive as an advocate for the hurting, and then you'll be perfect. And then come follow me. Read it again. If you want to be perfect, Yeshua said, he didn't say, you can't be perfect. Hello? If you want to be perfect, give to the hurting, and then you will have treasure in the Shemayim. P.S. Come follow me. So, faith in Yeshua and being his Talmid, and that faith is perfected, James 1:22, by laying up treasure in heaven, which is not just faith in Yeshua, but accounting others better and worthy of assistance even more than yourself. Can it be any simpler? So there is perfection for the believer. The glorification of the body and the resurrection of the dead is the perfection in the life to come. But how do I get perfect in this life? Be a follower of Yeshua. We already are followers of Yeshua. Now get perfect. Hi. Find someone who has not and make sure they have. And consider them. Don't just worry about them and pray for them and say, Shabbat Shalom, brother. Go out of your way and meet their needs. Be proactive. Not just recognize that they are there in our midst, but be an advocate for their cause. And then you will be perfect. Helping the hurting establishes perfection for Kiddushim. Yeshua said, be perfect. Now you know how. Now you know how. Yeshua said, be perfect. Now you know how. Yochanan Moshe. Marcus, Yochanan Moshe, Mark 10:21. Yeshua, same incident. Beholding the rich young ruler loved him and said to him, you're a believer. That's great. That's great. Very good, Tov. You got the right Yahweh. Now, one thing you lack. Lack? Lack? I keep the Torah. Yeah. You're a rich young ruler. You keep the Torah. But one thing you lack. Go your way. Sell what you have. Give to the hurting and the poor, then you will have treasure in the Shemayim, and then you take up the execution stake and follow me. Helping the needy and the hurting is a test of discipleship. You're going to follow Yeshua, but you're going to follow him by laying up treasures in heaven. The only way you could lay up treasures in heaven is by helping the hurting. Didn't you read that many times in Scripture? Lay up not for yourselves, treasures on earth, but lay up treasures in the Shemayim. So you know we think? That means pray instead of eat. That means go to church instead of eating hot dogs. That means hang out with brothers instead of hanging out with heathen. Wrong. All of the above. D. None of the above. It means find the hurting. Find Yeshua who doesn't have food, doesn't have shelter, doesn't have a home, and give of yourself. Can it be any simpler?
Yes.
Baruch Hashem Yahweh. That's how you lay up treasure. Didn't Yeshua command that we lay up treasures in heaven? Right? Haven't we always been told that means being spiritually minded? Don't lay up treasures on earth, brother, like those heathens. Lay up treasures in heaven. Sing in the choir, worship, wear a talit. Don't think about the World Series. Think about heaven. Don't think about the Super Bowl. think about the angels that you're going to be hanging out with when you go to glory. Lay up treasures in heaven, brother. No. It says right here what that means. Give to the hurting and the poor in Israel, and then you'll have treasures in heaven.
Right. That verse.
Yochanan Moshe, Marcus 14:7. The poor you have always. When you desire, you must do tov to them. You don't always have. You'll always have a command to help the hurting. Luke 8:22. Now when Yeshua heard these things, he said to them, you lack one thing. Notice, one thing. What happens if we have all the right doctrine? We reject the rapture. We believe in the two houses. We believe in the Moadim. We believe in Shabbat. We have everything. Yeshua said, sorry, you lack one thing. You still lack that one thing. That one thing to be perfected. I believe, you believe the Pope is the Antichrist. You believe he's the false prophet. You believe Chick Publications is in bed with the Jesuits, and and you believe Kabbalah is witchcraft, and you keep your Shabbat. You got everything right. One thing we lack. Laying up treasures in heaven. And there's only one way. You're not listening. There's only one way to lay up treasures. It's helping the hurting and the poor. There's no other way. Not from heaven's definition. There's no other way. You have no choice. You've got to be proactive in finding someone who's worse off than you are. Yeah, a lot of us have it bad in many instances. We reach out, be proactive. Look at verse 22. One thing you lack, distribute to the poor. Then you'll have treasure in the Shamayim. Luke 6:20. Luke 6:20. He lifted up his eyes in his Talmidim and said to his Talmidim, look, he's talking to his Talmidim, blessed are you poor. Yours is the Malchut of Yahweh, the first of the Beatitudes. Luke 14:13. Don't miss this now. Do not miss this. Let's read. I want someone to read it because I need to keep you awake. I've been preaching for 3 hours. Luke 14:13. Read it to me. First one to get there.
But when you observe...
Louder.
But...
Well, louder.
Stand up. Stand up.
But...
Louder. Hey! Luke 14:13. Go.
But when you observe a moed, call the poor...
Stop. When you, not if, when you observe a moed, meaning Pesach, Shavuot,
Right.
Sukkot, meaning we're not going to church.
Right.
These folks are, the Talmidim are not going to church. When you observe the moed,
Hallelujah.
call the caterer and say, is it ready?
No.
Is that what it says? Don't forget, call the caterer.
No.
Call the poor.
Wow.
Proactive. The hurting. Yes, call the caterer, but call up the hurting and make sure they're at that table when you celebrate your moed.
Hashem Yahweh.
It doesn't say, well, you know, there's two guys in the congregation, they don't have money, they don't have $20 for Pesach. It doesn't say that. You automatically take care of them.
Hallelujah.
You are to go outside the camp and call the poor who cannot afford to attend your moed and make it their moed. Don't just call the caterer, call up the poor. You see that?
Yeah.
It's been in your Bible for 2,000 years. Let's read it again. Some of you give me holy looks. Luke 14:13. When you observe a moed, call the poor.
Call the poor.
The lame, the blind, those who are hurting, handicapped, and who are hurting as brothers and sisters. Luke 14:21. So the Eved came and showed his master these things. The master of the bayit became angry and said, go out into the streets, the lanes of the city, bring in here the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Meaning the kingdom of Yahweh is full of those who are hurting.
Hallelujah.
Luke 19:8, Zacchaeus stood and said to Yeshua, Master, half my goods I give to the poor. Zacchaeus was a believer, a follower. I have taken anything from any man by false accusation. I restored to him fourfold.
Yes.
Yeshua said, this day of salvation come to this bayit because he is a B'nai Abraham. I want to close with this. I'm going to get back to this. There's some deep things here. Romans 15:8, Romans 15:26. For it has pleased those of Macedonia and Achaia to give a terumah for the poor Israelite Kiddushim who are in Yerushalayim. Galutia 2:9. Go to Galutia 2:9. We close with these two scriptures. Has anyone enjoyed? I know I preached 3 hours. I'm the one doing the preaching. And it's about time, like Rabbi Ed said, we trade in our Baptist butts for Torah observant butts. They want more. They don't get sore. I didn't say it. Rabbi Ed said it. Galutia 3:29. I'm sorry. Galutia 2:9. Galatians 2:9. Now watch this. Don't miss this. When Yaakov, Kifa, and Yochanan. Look at me. Who were Yaakov, Kifa, and Yochanan? Not just Talmidim, they were the inner circle. Yes? They were the inner 3 within the 12, right? Okay. Who seemed to be pillars of the Kehillah. Were they pillars? Were they the main ones?
Yes.
Were these the main ones? Yes. This is not Catholic Charities or some other organization to help the poor. When Yaakov, Kifa, and Yochanan, who seemed, and rightfully so, to be main pillars in the Kehillah, perceived the unmerited favor that was given to me, they gave to me and Barnabas, the son of consolation, the right hand of Chavurah, that they should go to the nations, that we should go to the nations, Ephraim, and they go to the Brit Milah, or the Jews, the 2 houses. They go to the Yehudim, we go to the Ephraim. Verse 10, only in our preaching and in our ministry they desire that we should remember the poor, the same mitzvah which we were eager to do.
Wow.
The only thing the elders told Paul, Rav Shaul, was, don't forget, when you lead them to the Lord, make sure they stay in the synagogue and they don't go to church. No? When you lead them, make sure they're doing the Moadim and not Christmas. No? One thing they told him. One thing. When you go and convert the nations to Yeshua, make sure you never, ever forget the hurting. Rav Shaul said, of course, they didn't have to tell me that. The Torah already told me that. See that? Rav Shaul's ministry was not just preaching the good news, the Besorah to the nations. It was feeding the poor in the nations. He goes, Yaakov, Kifa, and Yochanan reminded me, and they seem to be pretty important men in the Kehillah. But I was eager to do the same thing anyway. I didn't need to be reminded, but it was nice that they reminded me. So notice, helping the hurting in Israel was the primary concern of the inner cabinet of Yeshua. Is it your primary concern? Is it our primary concern? It hasn't been in my life. Not in the past. But I'm changing. I want to change.
Hallelujah.
I want to weep with those who weep, mourn with those who mourn, rejoice with those who rejoice. Think about that. Think about that. Now watch this. The leaders of Nazarene Israel's community in the first century, this is still first clause, by the way, were commanded by the pillars. Who are the pillars? Don't miss this now. I'm going to go sewed right now. Yaakov, Kifa, and Yochanan, representing the what? 3 columns of Yahweh, Chokhmah, wisdom, Binah, understanding, Da'at, knowledge, representing those 3 pillars, hello? The tree of life, right? Chokhmah, wisdom, Binah, understanding, I'm sorry, Binah, understanding, Da'at, knowledge, those 3 pillars that make up the fullness, the all-encompassing mind of Yahweh. Yahweh's mind is what? Full of wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, the all-encompassing omniscience, all-knowing of Yahweh. But notice, if those, don't miss this now, if Peter, James, and John represent what? Wisdom, understanding, and knowledge, which represent the fullness of Yahweh's thoughts,
Hallelujah.
What were the fullness of Yahweh's thoughts? All three parts, the Father, the Son, the Spirit, wisdom, knowledge, understanding, all spoke with the same message and the same mind, which was, Paul, when you go to the nations, do Torah. Clothe Yahweh,
Oh, how beautiful.
feed Yahweh, minister, give Yahweh covering, give Yahweh shelter. Don't forget. So the three pillars represent the mind of Yahweh to the nations. Does this blow your mind? Baruch Hashem Yahweh. These three pillars, Yaakov, Kepha, and Yochanan, represent the all-encompassing mind of Yahweh as it relates to the herding in Israel. Look at verse 10. Galatians 2:10.
Baruch Hashem.
Only they desire that we should remember the poor. Meaning,